All right, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. We'll start off where everyone else does. As far as earliest childhood memory, what are we getting into?
Earliest childhood memory of my sport
No,
or just in
just
general?
just earliest childhood memory.
That's a good question. Well, I feel like I just said sport, so it just popped in my head now, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking back to when I started synchro, which is what it was called, back
Yep.
when I started like 13 years ago.
Okay.
And I went to a summer camp, just like it was 1 week long.
Yeah.
And I went and I didn't know what to expect at all. I didn't know what it was. And every day, my mom always tells me I would get in the car and I would say, "This is what I want to do, Mama. This is what I want to
Yeah.
do." And I was 8 years old, and I was like, "Yes, I want to do synchronized swimming, which is artistic swimming." So that's what popped in my head.
So as the whole summer camp, that it was it just like synchronized swimming, artistic swimming in general, like that was the main focus?
Yeah, it was just kind of for little kids who wanted to see if they liked the sport. And it was open to anyone. So
Yeah.
I just showed up with no expectations, as an 8-year-old that doesn't really know what they want. And I just
Yeah.
knew I loved it from that
That
day. Yeah.
that's really impressive because I mean I only saw that outreach is a very good way to get kids for sure. Um,
Yes.
I think there wasn't even like cross country at the middle school level when when I was in middle school. So that I had to run with the high school guys. I'm like, this is not fun. They're like, all right, go run a mile. I'm like, that's way too far. What are we
Yes.
doing here? What are we doing here? As far as growing up, we'll say around elementary school, did you enjoy school at all? Did you like just like hanging out with friends? What was the scenario there?
I've always been someone who loves school. I like the
Okay.
challenge. I like
I
the
see
focus.
I see the books behind you. I should have guessed a little bit on that.
Yeah, it was a little hint, but yeah, I mean, I do love reading too. So I've always loved it. I'm not like a super school focused kid, but I like what it gives you. I like learning more. I like knowledge. I'm in college now, so that's something I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid. But I have two
Yeah.
brothers, and they've always known I don't like school. I don't want to go to college. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting, raised in the same environment, and I just always knew that I love school.
Now,
So
do you
yeah.
think that was a perspective that your parents gave you? Was it a good first learning experience from a teacher? Do you remember any of that?
I think I remember just working really hard on projects
Yeah.
in like elementary school, and most kids, would show up with like a little tiny drawing that they took like 5 seconds on, and I would show up with this complex 3D model that, in like elementary school, you don't really get grades. Grades
Yeah.
doesn't really matter, but I don't know. I always knew I liked it more than other people. And my mom always, she kind of just supported what we wanted to do as
Okay.
kids. She pushed us to challenge ourselves in ways that she knew we were capable of, but it wasn't like she was forcing me to be some excelling student. No.
Yeah. We're gonna be homeschooling our kids. Well, we'll see how the first one goes, and then Dax is a couple years behind. But the so like for me, I was usually forced to do things that I didn't like. So I was like, oh,
Mm,
some of the class that I didn't like, I wouldn't put in full effort, but other ones I just loved. So I was like, all right, this
right.
is great. I'll put in the effort. And everyone I ask, there's not a, oh, my mom did this or this. It just seems to sometimes it just works out.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
trying to figure out how to facilitate that, but it seems that the child has to find their way there.
Right. No, I would totally agree. I think when you're a kid and your parents are telling you to do something, it makes you not want to do it,
Right.
because you're like, oh, they want me to do it. Like they don't understand me. It's like this rebellious nature I feel like a lot of kids have.
For
But
sure.
like the guiding them and making them think about it on their own, even though you were kind of helping them into it,
Right.
definitely is the way to go.
When you face difficult things, or what felt like difficult things in either elementary school or middle school, how would you deal with those things?
Hmm. That's a good question. I feel like I didn't really deal with my main memories are more later. I feel like sometimes as a kid who was in a more unique sport, I
Yeah.
sometimes felt kind of insecure about it. It wasn't like soccer or wasn't like, baseball that I knew a lot of kids knew what it was. And when you're little and you don't, have like this way of explaining yourself super well, you feel
Yeah,
very self-conscious, even though like now I feel really happy to talk about it and think it's really cool.
for sure.
But back then it was definitely something I didn't open with. I was like,
Right.
oh yeah, I swim, you know. I don't go past that so people don't ask me questions. Um, so that was definitely something I struggled with. But I think as I got older, I started to realize how cool it was and how people
Okay.
thought it was interesting. Um, and it wasn't something I needed to be like hide about myself. It was something that was, unique in a good way.
Yeah. Do you feel like there was any tools that you picked up along the way, or was more just confidence that built as you got older?
Hmm. I feel like I had a big switch when I actually moved schools.
Okay.
I switched schools I went to sixth grade one school and then I switched to a different one in seventh grade. And I feel like my personality kind of just opened up, I guess,
Okay.
because I'd been with the same group, most of my life for when I was in school, and then switching schools forced me to open up and be more outgoing and different things like that. And I feel like it also made me more comfortable talking about things that made me nervous.
Yeah.
So yeah, like most people are like, oh, moving schools, it's so scary. And I was scared, but it ended up being the best opportunity because my personality became so much more fun and
Yeah.
open and versus like shy and timid. So
Yeah. I remember the freshman year of high school, I got on the bus and I was looking for familiar faces and like I don't know anybody from here. I actually had I don't know if I can call it an ex-girlfriend, but that I called a girlfriend in elementary school. She's like, "You can sit next to me." I was like, "Oh, phew." Like this, I'm just so nervous going into that
yes,
scenario.
yes,
For you, so you said you started artistic swimming at the age of 8.
yes, correct.
So is that year round at that point? Is it indoor, outdoor? What's the scenario when you first start?
So when you first start, I feel like any sport, you're kind of in the little league version of it. So you don't
Yeah.
do a ton. It's maybe like twice a week for an hour or two. In Seattle, we usually practice inside because there's not a
Good
lot of
move.
outdoor pools. Yeah, yeah, because it can be very rainy, but I definitely do have stories of being out in the snow when it was snowing outside and an outdoor pool. So that's
Yeah.
definitely wasn't fun, but you get used to it. But yeah, as a little kid, you're mostly indoor, and then as you get older, you start training more. The competition season for club teams is usually more the end of the school year into the summer.
Yeah.
And then how much you train for that is like what level you're at. So as you get older, you train more.
Okay.
And yeah, but then once you switch to more high level things like national team, you're going to be doing things year round.
So when you first get started, I feel like with most sports, soccer, pretty easy to play. Not a lot of, I guess there's some skills, but you can get going. There's not, all right, let's try this again. With a lot of sports, there's a low barrier of entry. But when it comes to artistic swimming, I feel like if you can't hold your breath or can't swim, like that takes a lot of people out of the sport right away.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more of a niche sport because, I've taught some lessons and teaching some lessons kind of shows you that a lot of kids don't even like putting their face in the water. They
Right.
don't even like, so much less holding your breath. And I didn't think about it as a little kid. I've always been in water. My parents love
Yeah.
water. My dad was a big swimmer, and my mom taught like swim lessons and was a lifeguard for years. So I just never thought anything of it. And I remember like one of the first practices we did, it was like, oh, like see if you can do an underwater, which is from one side of the pool to the other, which is 25 yards.
Okay.
And I was like, oh yeah, cool. This is great. And I remember other kids were like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. We have to
Yeah.
do it underwater. So I guess, yeah, that definitely weeds some people out, but you do get used to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people might right away be like, no, no way. I don't want to do that.
The coaches for artistic swimming, since it is so niche, do you feel like they were lighthearted? I know for even gymnastics, a lot of the coaching that came over here during the Olympics when it got huge were there a lot of them were Russian. They were there to break you down and then you just had to listen to exactly what they say. They burn you
Mm.
out. What was the scenario for you when you started doing? Um,
I felt I got pretty lucky. Of course, I think in any sport, there's going to be challenging coaches, there's going to be
yeah,
lighthearted coaches. I feel like I grew up in a very positive environment. All the coaches I had were very supportive. They pushed me, like they kind of matched what effort you were trying to put in with how much
yeah,
you were going to push you and make you work hard. Um, for sure. But I never felt like I had a bad relationship with a coach where I was afraid of
Nice.
them or just like it was too much.
Yeah.
But I could see how other people could have experienced that and
I
vice
I would
versa.
like to get a compilation of just everyone I've had on here when they talk about coaches, and then all coaches have to watch it because the only reason the kid or the person leaves their sport is from the coach. It's not because they weren't having fun or it's not because they didn't enjoy the sport. It was because the coach wasn't. I've never used vibe more than I have in the last year or so, but they didn't match the vibe. That's just it wasn't working for them. Now with your sport, there's got to be different levels of difficulty. When you're first beginning, what are you getting into? What did you have a hard time with? Because it seems like you were pretty good at the beginning.
Uh, well, I guess so. One thing I will say is that artistic swimming now is very different from what it was when I started.
Oh,
We
okay.
had a big system change a few years ago. So what little kids are learning now in the sport is completely different from what you were
Interesting.
learning back in when I started, 13 years ago.
Okay.
So like I was learning how to float in the water, which I think to that extent, most kids are learning the same thing when you first start. So you're learning how to float, you're learning how
So
to egg beater, which is where
floating is different than treading water, or is that the same thing?
no, it's a little different. So treading water is what I said, like egg beater. So it's like where you
Gotcha.
move your legs like water polo style kind of thing. But then floating to us is more like you can lay on your back and just
Okay.
like not really have to do anything because you can float. And then that skill kind of translates into other things where you can add on like leg movements, arms, or you also start learning how to scull underwater, which is where you're upside down and you're doing things and you're moving your arms to stay higher out of the water with your legs.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So you start learning about that kind of stuff, but then pretty quickly when I was a kid, you start to like put it into routines and like routines back then were kind of whatever you wanted. Like coaches could just do whatever.
Yeah.
But now little kids are going to be doing certain things that are part of a difficulty chart, which is like every movement you do has a point of difficulty and
Okay.
you have to execute it. And otherwise, if you don't execute it, you don't get the points.
So more like
So it's much
gymnastics then?
stricter. Yes, it's
Okay.
kind of like gymnastics, kind of like figure skating. We kind of molded this new version after a lot of the artistic sports to try
Okay.
to make it less subjective. Yeah.
Oh, because the scoring used to be more, I wouldn't say laissez-faire, but it'd be more based off what the judge was thinking rather than what everybody agrees is hard and whatnot.
Right. Of
Okay.
course.
Yeah, I my niece, cousin, niece. Yeah. She started doing artistic swimming and I was like, "Hey, I know about this and you're 9. How are you doing this?" Like that's super cool. What would you say your we'll go middle school as far as training. What was the hardest thing for you to work on, or did it all come pretty easily to you?
Um, I've never it's funny, I just posted a video about this that I have a love-hate relationship with something called a barracuda.
Okay.
Do you have any guess of what that means
I
based off
think
of how I
it's
said that?
I'm like you just don't really like fish. That's confusing, but I assume it's maybe like a sharp turn, aggressive.
Okay, yeah, no, not bad. Okay, so barracuda, it's really hard to explain without like a visual,
Oh, wait.
but
I have one of my daughter's dolls here somewhere. Here
oh
we
my
go.
gosh, okay.
I'm in my daughter's playroom because the Wi-Fi is terrible everywhere else. All right, here we go.
Okay, so you're gonna fold her legs towards her face.
Okay.
More. Can you do more? Like flat almost to her face. Yes.
Okay.
And then her arms are gonna be by her ankles.
Okay. And
Okay,
you're
and then
supposed to float doing this?
so this is underwater.
Okay.
And then super fast you unroll like their body, their feet towards the surface so you shoot no the other so you shoot their legs out of the surface but like vertical.
Like that?
So like if this was like the position, it would
Okay.
be like that. Like her legs would go
Oh,
up and their body would go under. Yeah, and
gotcha.
you can get super high. You can do a lot of different things. Like it's one person, and like
Interesting.
some people can get their neck out. Like yeah, I'm my best that I'm proud of is like here, but some people can get their neck out. It's very cool. But anyway, there's a lot of different techniques. There's a lot of different methods, but
Yeah.
I think it's one of Like I love it, but I also hate it because sometimes like you have a good Barracuda day and
Yeah.
sometimes you have a really bad Barracuda day. And it took me forever to get consistent to get better at it. And I still have sometimes where I'm just like, I can't do it today. It's just not happening.
I'm just gonna be flopping around the next pool that I get into. It's like, oh no, no, no. This is I'm just gonna I don't even so your feet are here and you're just popping up. Easy. We'll get
Yeah. It's a lot of core, and then you're also trying to be flexible because you have to be really close to your legs in the beginning to get more power to unroll at the end.
okay.
Uh, yeah, it's a lot. And then you have to control it. Like you're here, your
Yeah.
head is basically the only thing that's in the water, and you're trying to control the rest of your body that's out of the water
And
with,
when was this
yeah.
move introduced to you?
We started doing it pretty young, so we probably start learning it when we're like a few months into artistic swimming.
Wow.
I don't even remember the first time I did it. Like
Yeah.
when you're little, it's like they couldn't even tell that they're doing it really because
Yeah.
it's so, it's so hard. It's so
You see the
confusing.
toes going up out of the water a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, it's like a little like, you don't really know. But then as you get older, you get better at it. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's actually something like we have a tech team, which is like where you can compete elements, like
Okay.
specific things, and like barracudas are part of the element. So you
Yeah.
sometimes you do stuff like that, but you add on different things. Like you can add on a split in the air, you can add on a turn, which you kind of said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool that you're able to work on something for 10 to 15 years and it's not just routine. Like that's a hard thing to do.
Oh, I mean, like I would say artistic swimming is all about foundational skills and practicing them over and over and over again. Like one of our things like that we do every day is support skull, which is like sculling in the water upside down. And we do that every day, all day, whatever movements we're doing, basically, we're practicing that. So like there's a lot of things in synchro that you're doing constantly and you just keep improving over time at them and getting higher and better and more stable.
How does improvement work? Because I feel like it's got to be tough for the coach to see like what you're doing under the water and like how are they giving you tips and improving on that side?
Well, it's actually interesting because I didn't know before. I was like, can they really see underwater? Can they see what's going on? But a lot of coaches are like were once athletes, and I started coaching more this past summer, and you kind of gain a lot of insight from your own athletic experience.
Okay.
So I'll think about it, be like, okay, when I'm in the water and I'm doing this movement, what helps me? And I'll try to
Okay.
explain it to them. And you can usually see through the water to kind of see like what's going on. Sometimes I'll
Yeah.
even get in the pool to help them out, or show them. Because for me personally, one of the easiest ways for me to fix things is to see other people do it correctly. So
Okay.
I'll show them so that they can see and then copy it. But yeah, it's definitely hard to be a coach because also too you'll be like talking to them and they're underwater and you're like, shoot, they can't hear me right now unless you have a microphone, but most of the time you don't. So
Yeah. That's
yeah.
so interesting. So when you're showing them the correct way to do it, you're doing that on land though, right?
No, sometimes I get in the pool with them because
Okay.
I mean I'm still an athlete myself, so it feels normal for me to be in the pool, but for most coaches that are retired, they wouldn't probably get in the pool.
Okay. Well, I'm just as
Yeah.
far as like understanding goes, because if like half your body, I feel like it might be hard to see, but it seems like you guys can still see what's going on under there.
Yes, yes, yeah.
So in middle school, was there a time which you're like, hey, this is going to be my only sport? Did you try other things?
Yeah, so I was kind of doing karate, swim team, dance. Like I had a lot of different things going on, and then I think when I was like 10, maybe 11, I decided artistic swimming is going to be my sole like my only
Yeah.
sport. And that's also when I started getting more competitive.
Okay.
So I started going out for national teams, I started doing trials,
At
and I
10.
knew that huh?
At 10?
Yes, I think my first trial was at 10 and I didn't make the team.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like then artistic swimming, the first national team you can make is 11, 12. So I was still young, but I still tried. And then I went out the next year and I was 11 and I made it that year.
What was it like not making it when you were 10?
I was definitely sad. I remember just being like, oh, okay, like I didn't know what I was missing out on. I'd never done national team before, but I
Yeah.
definitely knew I wanted it. I wanted to be very competitive. And all like my friends on other club teams across the US that
Yeah.
I really liked, some of them got to go. So of course I was sad. I was like, oh, my friends are going. But
Hmm.
that's why I decided I was like, I want to try again next year when I get better. So
So you've already made friends on club's team. club teams. What was it like competing? Did you always have to fly a bunch of different places? What did competing look like in middle school?
So for club team, you basically just compete within the US. The
Okay.
most popular place that I would say artistic swimming is California. So we
Okay.
would be in California a lot. I traveled a lot. Like I was in California, New York, Colorado, South Carolina, like all over, like Arizona. Uh, just you're constantly traveling for these little meets. We had a few in Seattle, but not a ton because we're not a super big club.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then for national team, you get to travel internationally. So that's why it's kind of fun. So my first 11, 12 national team, I got to go to Puerto Rico, which is very cool. It
Wow.
was, yeah, but as a little kid, it's very intense. It's a lot of training.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my first experience of, wow, okay, this can really whip my butt kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like it's a lot of work. But I also knew I was like, okay, I really love it. Like I like the challenge and I like getting to compete internationally against other countries instead of
Yeah.
just within the US.
So at 11, 12, what does the volume and training look like? And then how are you supporting yourself either recovery wise or food wise?
National team or club team?
We'll go national team. Or which one was
Okay.
harder? What was
Oh,
hard?
national team. National team is
Okay.
always harder. Uh, so that's actually a good question because when I was that age, I was vegetarian.
Okay.
And because my mom is vegan, so she was like, "Oh, you want to be a vegetarian?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I was vegetarian for a few years, but I started national team then, and I was kind of that vegetarian that ate like cheese.
Yeah.
I didn't like vegetables. I didn't like a lot of stuff. I was still a little kid. And so I would just eat like mac and cheese and like bread, which is not what you need as a high level athlete.
Yeah.
We were training at least 5 or 6 hours in the pool every day,
Yeah.
like 6 days a week. So I started to realize I needed to either eat more or switch to eating meat again. So I started eating meat again
Yeah.
because I like, especially too when like the coaches are trying to supply for everyone, they just didn't have enough food and it wasn't working for me. So I just had to fuel myself more.
Yeah.
Um, so I switched and you always try to do a lot of recovery at nights, like stretching. I didn't really get into ice baths until I was older, but I do love those. Those are
Yeah.
awesome. And then we also do a lot of like video work where we watch videos and go over corrections.
Oh, very
So,
cool.
yeah.
I really like video work for the fact of you're being specific about learning what you're doing, but then also you replay that in your mind when you're sleeping. So like it's like I put in this specific work. I may not get it right away, but I'm learning it once over on the specific action. That's pretty cool.
Yes, yeah.
It sounds like at that young age, nationals was pretty intense. How are the coaches there?
I think it was definitely tough because I mean, I still was a really little kid, so it felt very, very intense.
Yeah.
And you're away from your family for the first time. It's a summer thing, so you're staying like at wherever you're training, like with the other girls and the coaches.
Oh,
And yeah, so you're away from your family for a few months, and it's really your first experience of doing that.
yeah.
So I definitely was more sad. You get homesick. And like you don't have the comfort of like being like, oh, like I had a hard day at practice. I can't go like cry to my mom,
Yeah.
I
Only three
definitely,
years
yeah.
after that summer camp that you went to, you're
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. So and that was hard. And then going to Puerto Rico too, that was intense because you're going out of your element, so you're in a ton of heat
yeah.
and training and you're basically somewhere really new. So that felt very intense as a little kid, very cool, but also very intense.
How many kids got sick on the Puerto Rico trip, food wise?
Oh, I don't that's a good question. I don't think a lot of people got sick. We definitely did have a few people that got like really dehydrated and
Okay.
really dizzy because we didn't know how much water you had to drink in the sun. You know, yeah, that definitely happens. That was a problem for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess not too many kids are going to the food trucks and be like, "Oh, I'll be fine." You're not risking it too much on that end. So,
No.
as far as the competition goes, I have no idea give me a competition day. What does warm up look like? What are you actually competing on? Is there multiple events? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so again, like back then I was competing the old system,
Oh,
but
okay.
if it was the new system, we would have been doing a tech team, a free team, and then there's now an event called acro, which is those are all team events,
Yeah.
and then you can have different people swimming in them, but usually it's around the same 8 people for each event.
Okay.
And you can also be doing extra routines, which could be a solo or a duet.
Okay.
So that's what's kind of like happening. Usually it's over a few days for international competitions. So like one day we might compete like tech team and tech duet, and then another day could be free team and free duet, and then the
Yeah.
last day might be acro. It's kind of just depends. Every competition is different, and most of the time you get there with your team, you warm up on land, you do kind of like some stretching, some abs, some like cardio to just kind of get warmed up. You dive in. Usually there's around like 30 minutes to do a lap swim warm up and start like warming up in the pool.
Yeah.
And then there's usually some kind of music time. So that means like they play your music or you're allowed to play parts of it while you're warming up so you can start practicing things. And then the competition starts. There's no more music time. People have to exit the pool and you usually get in like a few routines before you to start warming up again, like laps and a little bit, and then you compete.
Okay.
Yeah, and you do a full swim of your routine, which definitely is a source of stress for most people, is the full routine because it can feel very hard sometimes.
So how long would a full routine be?
Usually they're around 2 to 3 minutes.
Okay. And that just full throttle sending it. Like, because I've watched a couple
Yes.
of them and it's like, where are you resting? And then they, what rest?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely like you keep swimming, like you start out fresh and then you get tired, you get more tired, and then by the end you're just mentally like keep going. And I think that's like the biggest thing about like artistic sports with routines
Yeah.
is but like, oh, like they look like they're just enjoying it so much. And it's like, no, we're dying inside for sure. Like it's like a mental battle to not just like give up and float to the bottom of the pool and go, I'm tired. Like I don't want to keep doing this. So it's definitely very hard. And towards the end of that time, you start feeling your arms kind of give out, your legs are getting tired, your lungs are burning, and then
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I have to go back underwater again and hold my breath. And you're like, dang it, this is horrible sometimes. And as you get older, you get used to it and you kind of calm your mind more, but it can definitely feel very hard at times.
So we'll just go with the Puerto Rico one. How was it once you were done competing each day? Were you able to relax, have fun with your friends? What was the
Yeah, so competition time is like you're in competition. It doesn't matter if you're in the pool or if you're at home, like at the hotel or wherever the Airbnb. You're not doing anything crazy. You're resting, you're stretching, you're thinking about your corrections for the next day kind of thing. You're not going out and sightseeing. I think a lot of people think when we go to competition, we have a ton of time.
yeah,
And I mean, I've been traveling for years, and it's most of the time when you go places, my family will be like, "Oh, like it was so fun. We got to see this and that," because they often go watch me. And
yeah.
I'd be like, I didn't see anything. Like I was at the pool. I saw the pool, I saw the hotel room. If we have a few extra days at the end after competing, you get to do something sometimes.
Yeah.
But during competition, no, like you're focused, you're in the zone. That's
Yeah.
it.
I remember I played a lot of soccer and tournaments were the best. We'd play 3 to 4 matches in a day, and then we'd go back to the hotel, just going up and down the hallways, running as fast as we could. We'd be in the hot tub, the pool area. I was like, how on earth did I play so much and only eat orange slices and pizza? Like this is, I don't know how I was able to do these things.
Yeah.
So are you journaling at that point? Do they give you any now words are hard for me. Visualization practice to do beforehand? What was their mental game that they gave you?
I'm not 100% sure. I can't really remember. I think we did a little bit of journaling,
Okay.
but I didn't start visualizing and like mental work really until at least 13, 15
Okay.
national team. I didn't really do a ton in 11, 12.
So 11, 12. How did you guys do?
We did well. We got first
Oh,
in our routines. Yeah.
we did well. You won. That's great.
Yeah, we did well. I remember that. Yeah. But it was like one of those meets that our coaches were like, yeah, you won, but you didn't do your best, so they were upset about that. Like we didn't
Oh,
have our best
boo.
swim. Yeah, yeah. We didn't have our best swim. I mean, but you're 11 and 12, you're like, okay, yay, we won. But of course, our coaches were there to be like, okay, yeah, but like let's remember that you could have done better. I'm like, okay, that's true. But
Thanks. This is wonderful. So moving from there, do do they say, "Oh, you're a shoe-in for next year"? Do you have to try out again? What do you got to go on for the next year?
yeah, so next year, so that was my last year of 11-12, so I had to do a tryout for 13-15, and I did not make 13-15 trials. You're in it for 3 years, and I didn't make it for the first two. So
Okay.
I would go for the trial, I didn't make it. I go for the trial, I didn't make it. I made it my last year. And that was a really fun trip. We did another training and I went to Slovakia. So that one was
Okay.
really cool. And yeah, so then I was kind of used to it by then. I was used to doing trials. I had a national team under my belt, so going to 13-15, I kind of knew more what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those 2 years that you didn't make it, once again, you didn't give up. Your goal was still to compete. How were you able, like, I guess there wasn't much of a mental question. You're like, this is just what I'm doing.
Yeah, it was definitely like a lot mentally like, okay, I didn't make it. Like, what can I do? And I would usually just take that opportunity to do other little camps that other coaches were offering, to get better. Like, there's like elite camps. There's one camp called Week in the Creek that one of the big club teams in California hosts. Like,
Yeah.
little things that you can do instead of national team that can help better your skills. And it was funny. I think it was the year before my national team that I made it for 13-15. I went to a camp in Mallorca, Spain
Oh, hey,
with
that sounds nice.
yes, yeah. It was very cool. It was an awesome trip and it was really fun. It was a training camp. I think we were there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and
Okay.
I actually met my future head coach for Team USA there because
Wow.
she's from Spain. So that was where I originally met her. And then, a few years later she becomes my head coach. So that
Yeah.
was crazy how little worlds collide.
Now, I'd say in most sports, there's whenever you go international, they will just say they play the sport a little bit differently. Like if you go down to Brazil, it's more of a dance. If you go to the US, it's more fundamentals. Same with basketball and stuff like that. When you're in Spain, is there room to have more flow to it? What's the different? Are you getting anything different out there than you had in the US?
Well, I think every coach is different. So every coach brings something different to the table. I would say that coach, I mean, her name is Andrea, and she's very, very artistic and
Okay.
creative. So she really taught me, like, I've always loved the artistry of the sport. So she really, like, kind of let that loose, like, let me kind of explore and do improv. And
Okay.
that camp really, like, made me fall in love with, like, that side of the sport again. Um, but then back in the US, every coach is different. So like some people focus more on, I feel like in general, we're known more internationally for our technical skills. Like
Right.
we're very like that's kind of what we're known for. But then like over the years, we kind of switched more to being better at like acrobatics. So it kind of changes over time and who's, the head coach of
Yeah.
each place kind of shifts what the sport is like in each country.
And for your sport, if there's 8 positions, is there one particular position that you do, or is there four of them are this? Because I know in cheerleading, don't want to offend you, I know there's flyers, there's base, there's tumble, like there's a bunch of different positions on that team. What are the positions, if there are any, for your team?
That's a great comparison. We do have what we call lifts,
Okay.
and like you would kind of like that's where we lift people out of the water. And yeah, there's like three positions. You could be a pusher, which is like the bottom people, a base, which is the person that's directly lifting the flyer, and then the flyer. I usually end up being more of a base, so I usually am the one pushing the flyer. I also push, but I've also been a flyer. I'm kind of I'm like kind of like able to do everything, which
Okay.
kind of like gives me the opportunity to be in different roles in the team. Um, but I feel like I'm definitely most comfortable being a base, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And then so then when you go to tryouts, are they seeing if you can do all of it, just some of it? How do you stand out in tryouts?
So there isn't really anything to do with that kind of like lift in a trial. It's more they do land skills, like land testing, like push-ups, sit-ups, burpees kind of thing. And then they'll do flexibility moves, they'll do balance moves, and then you're in the pool, they'll do like speed swimming timing, like a 200 IM or
Yeah.
like sprint things, and then they'll do small like things in the pool to look at, and then they'll do a full like a routine.
Okay.
So you'll have to learn a routine before the trials, and then you like do that at the trials, and that's kind of where they see most of your skills. And then all of
Gotcha.
that stuff comes together and they judge it, and then you see if you make the team or not.
That seems kind of like the NFL Combine plus a little movement at the end of it. Do you feel like that's the best way to get the best swimmers, or that's just the best that they have right now?
And I haven't done a trial in a long time like that because once you make junior national team or senior national team, you're usually just on the team.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's like changed too much. I think it's important to look at the land, but sometimes I feel like it's more important to look at the water because you can be really, really weak on land and still be very good in the water. And
Yeah.
I feel like the water is the most important thing. So I think for me, I would say the water focus is most important, but it's also good to stay in shape and do other things on land because
Yeah.
there are a lot of land workouts that you do on national team you have to be able to do in order to be on the team.
What would a land workout be that you need to be able to do?
We do a lot of CrossFit,
Okay.
so a lot of, weights, different things like that. We do a lot of running. We do, I mean, so in college at Ohio State, we do a lot of kind of like little like sets of like squats or cleans, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like kind of just like enough to like work your whole body and like get more strength out of the pool with the weights that when you get in the pool, you're even stronger
Yeah.
because you have no, well, we do have weights in the pool sometimes, but that's a whole
Well,
different
so
thing.
I've been doing CrossFit on and off for about the last 15 years. So I like to hear that because for you guys, um did they say more CrossFit versus just straight strength and conditioning? Did they give you a reason why? I'm interested why they picked that.
So again, every place you go will be a little bit different. Why we focused on it for our teams was just because they wanted us to keep the cardio.
Yeah.
And, the cardio is really important because that's how you get through a routine in the pool is your
Hmm.
cardio endurance. And then, they didn't want to do straight weightlifting because we don't want to make our muscles really strong and like tight. We
Yeah.
want them to be long and strong kind of
Yeah.
thing. So less like still weight, but not as much as, a bodybuilder or a weightlifter, because we
Yeah.
also need to have extension and flexibility. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I feel like Pilates, but then you don't get the cardio portion from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whenever I'd go to my aunt's Pilates class, I'd be like, "What is going? Like I'm here for 2 minutes and I am dying. This is wild." So while you're training with a national team at an older age, are you with them for those 3 months in the summer again, or what's the scenario at that older age range?
So 13, 15 is still summer, but
Okay,
then once you make it to junior, so you do a trials. I did a trials for junior team. It was around my end of freshman year of high school, sophomore year, and I got invited to go to the junior national team, but that means you move. You move and you train full time
what?
wherever the national team is based. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
How do your parents feel
So,
about that?
so it was definitely a big decision. My parents were sad to see me go, but they also knew like I had big goals and big
Oh,
dreams
it's
in sport.
just you. It's just you
Yes.
moving. Oh,
Yes, just me. So my parents and my brothers stayed here in Seattle, and I moved. I was 16 to California, kind of the Bay Area. So
yeah.
that was my first year there, and I ended up living with one of my close friends from another club team who decided to move as well.
Okay.
So we lived together, and then for our first year, we lived with a kind of like a host mom. So we were in
Yeah.
like a house, like it felt more like living alone, but there was still like an adult there,
Right.
to help you out or drive or stuff like that.
That's badass. What's going through your mind like living on your own? You have your goal that you're going to be working hard to. Like how are you talking to yourself during these times?
I think it's kind of just work hard now so that you can make the team and everything you want to reach later.
Yeah.
And then it was just like I was so used to, being swimming every day. It was just kind of like the more extreme version. And then you get to do like fun competitions and compete. So It just was the obvious next step for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then it was just reminding myself what my goals were and what path I wanted to take. So, yeah.
Before you moved or made that move when you were 16, did you hang out with friends when you were back at home? Did you travel much with your parents? What was our life before we moved?
So once I like during the summertime, if I had the summer off, I would travel like with my family a lot.
Okay.
But once I started getting more competitive, a lot of summers I was busy, you know. And then for school wise, I had it was my sophomore year, so it was right kind of when COVID was
Oh
around.
no.
So yeah, so I was already not hanging out with a lot of people because
Okay.
of COVID. And it was later in the year when I moved. And then I was just hanging around with my family so much. So I feel like leaving my family was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Um, and it just kind of ended up working out. Like that the time was like, okay, I haven't seen a lot of people in a long time. I feel, like it's kind of the time to move because I don't feel that attached to
Right.
being there. Yeah.
When you were at home with your family and you enjoyed that a lot, was it a particular game that you always enjoyed playing? Was it the laughter, the stories? What made it so enjoyable to hang out with your family?
Well, I just like I love hanging out with my family because we love like being outdoors. Like we do a lot of hiking, a lot of
Okay.
camping. Being from Washington, it's kind of like in your blood, kind of vibe. But I also we love playing board games like Cover Your Assets. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game.
Hmm. What's
It's
that one?
very fun, very very competitive. It's like a card game where you have like fake money and it gets very competitive and you try to steal other people's money. And it's kind of complex, but it ends up being very addicting. Like I always,
I'm
whenever I come home, I
I'm
always
gonna
want to
have to
play it.
write it down because we have a game night coming up, and we might have to order that. So cover your assets.
Yes.
All right. We've been playing a lot of good games lately. Um, so I think I was out at what's some of the big hiking in Seattle or near Seattle?
I just did a hiking trip to Rainier.
Okay, Mount
So
Rainier.
that was,
I
yeah.
We had my bonus sister and her husband or boyfriend lived up there, and we just hiked around Rainier. I'm like, this is
Hmm.
nuts. I'm dying. So I'm just outside Chicago, no elevation over here, and I got ruined. I'm like, we're not even going up. We're just hiking around.
Yeah. It's
But
very beautiful though. I love it out
yeah.
here. It's so green and just, like waterfalls and lakes and different things. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Very fun. So we're living alone. Are you cooking at this point? Do you just have the food is made for you? And if you're cooking, what are we getting after?
Well, that I would say I had two kind of food addictions begin when I
Okay.
moved. Nutella toast is like my number one, like I'm their number one fan. I love Nutella toast. Second, Chipotle.
Okay.
I can't even say how much money I've spent in Chipotle over the years because it was so easy. And at that time, we didn't have a car. So me
Yeah.
and my friend would walk into like the little city and go buy Chipotle. And we also had a Trader Joe's right there. So we would often go, get like one of those like meals that's like the dumplings or like the
Yeah.
bowls or the salads. Sometimes we had food made for us, kind of just depended on like the schedule. We tended to buy our own groceries like for like breakfast
Yeah.
and lunch, and then usually the host would usually make our dinner. So I started making my own things, started doing that, but when I was not feeling like cooking, I definitely went to Chipotle a lot.
Do you feel like you had to overeat just to eat enough, or how did you know if you were eating enough or not?
Feel like we had a lot of, by that point when I was full-time, we had a lot of kind of nutritional guidance on the team. It was like,
Oh,
okay,
that's
this is what you
great.
should be eating. This is the amount you should be eating. I always kind of stuck with it, like, okay, just like try to eat a lot of fruits, veggies, grains, proteins kind of thing. But I just kind of ate till I was full. I wasn't like super like, oh, I had this many grams of protein and this many
Yeah.
that. And, it ended up working out for me. Like I've done well. So, I bet everyone's different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just how it kind of worked for me.
Well, I think when you're eating mostly whole foods, listening to your body is very easy. So I think that works out pretty well on that end. If you're ever looking for a little extra calories at Chipotle, you can get a quesarito, which they make a quesadilla, and then that is the burrito that they wrap your food in.
No way. That's crazy. So it's like
I
two.
I I ate that I think twice after a rugby game before or a tournament. So I was definitely hungry enough to actually put one of those away. But if you're looking for an extra 800 to 1,000 calories, that will get you.
Oh my gosh. See, I love the quesadillas from Chipotle, so I'm gonna have to try that sometime.
Yeah, just
That
don't.
sounds
So
amazing.
if you go during like the lunch rush or whatever it is, they'll not make it for you for some reason. They're like, "Oh, sorry, I can't like." But I could literally just order a quesadilla and then a burrito, and they would make that. So I don't know. Maybe the lady just didn't want to make it. Maybe 5 years later, I'm just figuring this out now.
Yeah.
So was there any type of burnout when you were living in California, or how did that process go for you for the next couple of years, or however long
Yeah.
you were there?
So I feel like for me, I wasn't always the top athlete on the team. Like, I mean, I usually never was. I was only kind of the best athlete in my club team. And the national team, I feel like I always was fighting for my spot. I was always, pushing myself to be better because I never was like safe,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like I could always be cut. I could always, not make it. So that was definitely very mentally draining, physically draining, just constantly being worried, oh, I'm not gonna make it. Like I've put my parents have put all this time and money into this and I'm not good enough. So like I feel like I was always trying to be better. And at times it definitely did get overwhelming. Like is this worth it? Like am I gonna make the senior national team? Like am I gonna get there? Am I gonna be able to get to the Olympics? Is everything I ever wanted going to work out? So sometimes you get, well, at least I did, very overwhelmed with those thoughts, but I kind of just reminded myself, like, take it one day at a time. If there was like a specific event that really bothered me, usually I would be calling my parents, venting at home, like, this happened and I'm so frustrated. And they'd kind of help me get through it. Or sometimes I'd talk to a psychologist about it or my teammates because they kind of
yeah,
understood. So it just kind of depended on what happened. But yeah, it just kind of was like a daily ups and downs what you go through as an athlete and as an athlete who's constantly kind of fighting for a spot. Definitely
yeah.
was hard.
As far as the you said psychologist, right? Did they give you any like mind-blowing tools, or is more of just working you through what was going on?
I think it was working me through what was going on. And once I made senior national team, I feel like I don't remember who the mental coach was or who said it to me, but I think at some point someone said, and it really clicked for me was to just be present in the moment.
Okay.
And that really changed my athletic game. I feel I stopped getting so anxious, stopped getting overthinking all the time, worrying about if I was going to improve. It was just kind of like, okay, I'm here, I'm practicing this, I'm doing this skill, I'm working on this routine. Like I really tried to stay present in the moment versus thinking about what's happening later in the day. And I feel like it really changed who I was as an athlete
Yeah.
and my enjoyment of being at practice. We're in the pool. Once you get to that high level, you're in the pool, 8 hours a day. And then you're on land for 1 to 2 hours a day. So you're there a long time. It's a full-time job. And if you're letting your mind wander, it can be like, it feels like the longest day ever.
Yeah.
But then once I switched my mindset to being present and to thinking and to really applying myself and being there for my team, it really
Yeah.
changed as an athlete for sure.
Oh, that's fantastic. I went to a barefoot conference in Denver a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. But there was a representative from Vibram, and he spoke British. He was British, so he had a phenomenal accent. Immediately, whatever this guy's saying, I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'm buying it. But he said uh, there is no past, there is no future. It's just the infinity of now. And I was just like, oh, give me the accent. Give like I gotta get this tattoo. This is great. But yeah, I would say that's something that's been resonating lately. Is just we're here and we should probably enjoy this.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of my favorite things that me and my teammates would say to each other, like before we're doing like a big part or like a run through of our routine, which is the
Yeah.
whole thing, was actually something that they got from Ted Lasso, the
Okay.
show, when he's like, be a goldfish. Like, don't remember whatever happened before, whatever happened like after. Like, be present because you actually physically cannot control what happened after. Like, I mean, sorry, before,
Yeah.
like what happened in the routine? Like, oh, you messed up. Okay, great, that happened. There's no undoing it. Just fix what you're doing right now. But don't let your mind wander to the future where you forget about what you're doing right now and then you're gonna make another mistake, you
Yeah,
know? So before everything we did, it was like be a goldfish. That's it.
that's
Because they don't
fantastic.
remember. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's another good psychological trick. If you're going to do a free throw, if you're going to serve in tennis, that a lot of them are like, "Hey, I repeat this whatever before I'm doing this routine, and it gets me mentally prepared to do these things." I think it'd be helpful if we were just all able to have a psychologist in our pocket and just throughout the day, it's like, "Oh, we're gonna get these tools. We're gonna be moving along." In the homeschooling, I'll have to bring in a psychologist because I'll stay away from that part. Um, so when you are buying for that spot, do they have a list of like, oh, here's the top seven, eight, and here's the other people we're gonna call to move in with us, or how does that happen?
Yeah, so there's kind of constantly a trial, throughout the team. So I was on the senior national team for 3 years. So I was on the junior team for 1 year and then the senior national team for 3 years. And then throughout that time, we did a lot of trials to kind of figure out the ranking. And then and oftentimes like I was like not top 10. Like I was like maybe 11th, 12th, and only 8 people get to swim.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, like I need to keep improving. I need to get better if I want to be, close to getting on the team. And it was at that like right before it was like a year out from the Olympics, we had a big trial. So anyone could come, and then it was like within the team like who was already there was a trial, and then these added people who wanted to come, and then there's what we call remote athletes, which are remote athletes who are in college right now, so they
Okay.
were on the national team before and they're eligible to come to this trial. So it's like all these people are able to come and do this final trial before they name the Olympic squad, which is 12 people. um, so that was big stress, and I had no idea if I was going to make it. I just knew I really wanted to try. And I've been training full time on the national team in person. So it was like, okay, like I'm here. Hopefully, like being here will give me an advantage, And I just got in, like I was 12th. And I remember my coach was like, it was really close. Yes, I just got in. So I got onto the team in 12th and they took 12. So it was a big deal. And I was super excited. But of course, I had also mentally prepared to be cut because I
Mm.
needed to kind of have my foot in both sides. So I was really shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, like I made the team. This is amazing. And then it was, what do I need to do to get into the top eight?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to make it? So, I mean, I can keep going, but there's a whole
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. So I kept working and kept like, trying to figure things out. And the next big event that was going to happen was the Pan American Games, which for us is one of our chances to qualify for the Olympics.
Hmm.
And being on this team is a super huge deal because you're going to be one of at Pan Am's you can have 9 people. So you can be one of the 9 people that helps qualify the team for the Olympics.
Okay.
So we knew we really wanted to qualify because the US, except for now, we did go to Paris, but we hadn't qualified a team for the Olympics in 16 years. So it was
Wow.
a really big deal. It was the goal of everyone, of our coaches, everyone was vying to get us to the Olympics. So Pan Am's was the next big goal. So I'm training, I'm working really hard, I'm improving, people are recognizing me, and then I'm like right there, like 10th, like kind of right in that mix, like almost ninth kind of thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
almost there. And then they told us who the team was going to Pan Am's. And I was like, I just missed it. It was
Okay.
like, I was like right there, so close. It was between me and another person. And it was like super close, but they decided to take this other person. And it was like, oh my gosh, I put everything into making this. I really thought I had it. It was really hard. It was
Hmm.
like, do I keep going? Am I gonna make it? Like, this feels like it's too hard now. Um, and like I didn't get to go to this big event where like the team could qualify. But then, of course, unfortunately, we didn't qualify there. We
Hmm.
didn't. It ended up being like a hard event to not be at because you couldn't be there to support your teammates who didn't make it. And also hard to watch just knowing like, like we really wanted to qualify.
What
So
was it close? Was it a lot of what was
yeah,
the
it was very, very close. It was like zero point 0.2 points away from qualifying.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So it was really hard. It was like crushing. And, a few of me, so me and like, so it was like 10th, 11th, 12th. So three of us were still at home and we were kind of doing our own thing, training, trying to be ready for when the team came back. And I remember too, like during this mix when their team was training, we had more flexibility because we weren't going. So I ended up going on a trip to Yosemite, which
Okay.
is when I really started getting into hiking. And it was like, I remember I was just hiking and kind of like really thinking to myself, like, when they come back, like, is it what I want? Do I want to keep pushing? Or am I just like so mentally drained and physically drained that I don't think it's what I want anymore?
Yeah.
And what always stopped me from quitting in moments like that was like this thought, like, what if? Like,
Hmm.
what if you did make it? What if it all worked out? There's like probably a 99% chance that you wouldn't make it, but like, what if it did? And like that 1% chance was like what
Yeah.
always kept me going because I knew I would regret it if I didn't stay. So anyway, the team comes back and it's a whole like, everyone's sad, everyone's trying to like rally, but my head coach decided, okay, like I really want to give you a chance. Like I really want to see how you compete.
Hmm.
So I ended up getting to swim two of the three team events at World Championships, which is the next place we were allowed to qualify.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to be able to get to show like that I'm a strong athlete and I'm reliable and I get to compete and we like 12 of us did get to compete at that competition. So it was really exciting because all 12 of us got to say we qualified the team for the Olympics.
Okay.
So it was amazing. Like we all got to do it and I got to swim two of the three team routines and that was awesome. But then it was like, okay, so we all qualified, but only eight get to swim at the
Okay.
Olympics. So then everyone's like, okay, great. And then of course there's a few people on the team that like kind of know, like they know they're going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And that's so in that moment they processed I'm going to the Olympics. But for
So,
people like me on the team that didn't know, it was
yeah.
like, okay, great, now I have to fight even harder.
How
Sorry,
was
yeah.
like how long were you super excited? Yay, we made it to the oh, now I have to fight even harder. Like what was that time span?
I think it was like within the day.
Oh
Because
no!
I was so excited and I was so happy and it was amazing. And actually, like when we knew we qualified, I didn't swim that event. So I swam the first two, but then the last one was the one I didn't swim. So I like they get their score. I realize like we're going. I'm so excited. And then I'm like, okay, but in the
Yeah.
back of my head, I'm like, okay, I want to be on that team, so I got to work even harder now. So yeah, it definitely hit me pretty fast,
So
like
what
right.
made you like how were you guys able to qualify here? Like what was done different? Was like what was the process there? How did you guys get in?
I think we did a lot of like new techniques like going into world championships. Like I think Pan Am's was very draining. A lot of like a lot of people said it was very like mentally hard going in there and it felt like it was just like we need to get first, we need to be number one, we need to do it. Versus world championships was more, okay, let's do our thing, let's do our best.
Yeah.
We're gonna try. Like it wasn't like it didn't feel like qualify, qualify, qualify. It just
Okay.
felt like let's be our team, let's do what we do best, let's do
Yeah.
it good, you
Okay.
know? And I think that change in mindset for our team really helped us stay calm under pressure. And I think competing with all 12 definitely made it better. Like it was like we're a family, So it's like not being able to bring like, like three of the people that were part of everything was really hard at Pan Am's and the girls that went and there was one guy were like, it was really hard to not have you guys there. So getting to be all together at World Championships, I think also really helped.
So is it a different competition since there was 12?
Yes.
Okay. So what was the different layout then?
So World Championships is one of the biggest, I mean, it really is one of the biggest competitions for artistic swimming. It is also like swimmers go, like swim team, water polo, like diving. It's all like all aquatic sports kind of thing. It's like the aquatic Olympics kind of
Okay.
thing. So, and also you usually compete each routine twice. So there's a prelims and there's a final.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was like, okay, get your nerves out in the prelims and then compete like super locked in the finals.
Yeah.
So it was different because at Pan Am's it was just 1-1-1. So it
Right.
was a little bit,
Okay.
yeah.
So qualify for the Olympics. We're gonna have to work harder. What does looking harder like if you're already in the pool or on training 10 hours a day?
Yeah. So Because I did not make the Pan Am's team, I got a lot of coaching from a different coach, which I think gave me a different perspective because she was able to help me a lot with my technique. So I feel like I learned a lot from her. And then because like when I came back, I realized I needed to do more. Like I just
Yeah.
needed to train more and like individually, I needed to work on things more. Like a lot of like some people can fix their corrections like super fast, and for me, like I've just always been someone who needs a little bit more time and needs a lot of practice to execute it when I'm tired.
Okay.
So I started like, staying after practice, doing extra things. I've always been really good at watching people underwater to look at their technique and to be like, okay, this is what's helping them get higher. I'm going to copy
Yeah.
that. And then also just playing around in the pool, being like, okay, if I do this with my arms or if I do this with my body, I feel better. And it was like a lot of hours of just like, because I wasn't always in pattern, which is where the eight people are. I was like
Okay.
on the side a lot. So I had that flexibility to kind of try new things and figure out what worked for me. So when I did get to go in pattern, that I looked better and I was better and like the coaches could start seeing my improvement.
Yeah. So then where did that lead us as far as going forward from there?
So I was starting to, really move up. It was like, okay, you're really kind of like between eighth and ninth at this point. So they kind of did not an official cut, but it was kind of like before we competed at this last competition, or no, we went to French Open, and
Okay.
French Open was like, okay, we're gonna compete here, and then when we come back, we want to see you in free team, which is the routine I hadn't competed yet.
Okay.
And then we came back, and all of a sudden it was like, you're not going to get a chance to compete free team. You're going to swim tech team. And I was like, really? Like, I was really excited. Like, I thought I was going to have a chance. I thought this was my chance to prove myself. And it was hard because I knew like the next competition was basically where they were going to decide who was swimming at the Olympics.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, you're going to swim tech team. And then it was like, actually, you're just going to swim acro. And acrobatic routine is really fun to swim, but there's nothing really technical in it.
Hmm.
So it was like, I'm not swimming it. You're basically like, just know you're probably going to be ninth. Like, you're not going to get to go.
Gotcha.
And hearing that was like, wow. I mean, sorry, ninth is the alternate. So you get to go, but you don't get to compete.
Yeah.
So, hearing that was like a big blow. It was like, okay, I thought I was going to get a chance. And then I came back and it was like, things have changed. Like, you're not going to get a chance. You're just going to swim acro. Basically, you're ninth. Congratulations. You've gone really far, but like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, I was just like, at first I was really frustrated. I was like, what? You said I was going to get to swim. Like, it was
Yeah.
this whole thing and it was really hard. But then I was like, okay, now that I kind of know like I'm in this position, I'm really close.
Hmm.
All you can do is try. Like
Yeah.
all you can do is just give everything and keep pushing. And I remember like I would like there would be the team and then I would be in the background just like trying to get myself in the video so I could watch and like see my corrections and then also like be seen by the coaches so that they could
Yeah.
see me and correct. Because if you're not right in front of them in the pattern, it's really hard for them to correct you. So I was just
Right.
like always there, always working. Um, and then one day they were just like, we really want to like we've changed our minds. Like we want to give you a chance. So there's like this is like yeah.
What are these coaches doing over here? Just going through a
Well,
roller
I mean,
coaster of emotion.
I can't imagine like trying to decide a team like such a high level. Like
Yeah.
I give it to them because I don't know if I could do what they did in their shoes. Like it's a lot and it's a lot to change for the people in pattern to be
Right.
like, okay, we're switching it up. Like that's a lot. So they decided to give me a chance and they were like, okay, we're gonna have you and this other girl switching in and out to see who's gonna end up competing,
Yeah.
like at this last competition in Markham, Canada, before they decide the Olympic team. And so it was us switching out. And of course, me and this girl, we're very, very, very close. Like we're like best friends.
Right.
We're like we've helped each other from the beginning. And it could have been a really negative experience, but I feel like we really were each other's rocks and just were like, we're gonna help each other out, we're gonna help each other get through whatever happens. Okay.
Yeah.
So they end up deciding to let me compete in free team. So I get the spot and I'm super excited. I'm stoked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have not been able to swim this in forever. Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I hadn't swam the free team since the world championships like 4 years ago.
Okay.
So I hadn't been able to swim that routine like in so long. And we swam it and we got the highest score we've ever had competing that routine.
Yeah.
And I remember my coach being like, how long has it been since you swam this routine? Like, how long has it been? And I was like, I haven't swam since the last World Championships. And I feel like she was like, oh my gosh, like you had like so much pressure because you're one fighting for a spot, and two, you had to swim a routine that you haven't swam
Yeah.
in how many years, and you also knew like this was your chance to make the Olympic team. Like so much pressure. And I also didn't have a lot of time to practice in pattern before because we were switching right up until the very end.
Yeah.
Um, so I figured that that was kind of going to be it. Like that competition was going to help us decide who was the Olympic team.
Hmm.
But then, of course, we have a few days of
Wow.
practice
I don't want to hear
right
this. Wait,
before
go
they have to
go.
make the announcement. Yes. And I thought, I was just like, you know what? Like, okay, like we're just going to practice and then they're going to tell us. No. Those days were, I think, the hardest days in my artistic swimming career.
Yeah.
It was like it was just like they really needed to test like who was ready, so they basically didn't really tell us anything, and then all of a sudden we had to go in pattern and do a spot we didn't know.
Yeah.
So it was okay, this person go here, this person go there, this person go there. And there was three of us that were kind of switching in and out,
Yeah.
and it was really hard and just mentally like what like I was ready for them to just tell us the team, and then it was like bam, we're gonna do all this switching and see if you can pick up this choreography and see like what happens. And it was just like so intense. And I was like, like I don't even know. Like I'm talking to one of like my best friend that I
Yeah.
was mentioning before. Like, oh my gosh, like okay, we did everything we could. It's not in our hands. It's up to them to decide. Uh, and like we really couldn't do anything. So the night before they told us the team, they sent out a list that was like, okay, this is the time you're going to come in for your individual meeting.
Okay.
And of course, being the athlete I am, I get the list. I go, okay, like if this is the list and they're taking the eight, like maybe my time means that I made it. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like this time means that there's this many people ahead of me. Like what does this mean? And I get there the next day, and like I knew it was either going to be like I was like excited, but like I didn't make it, or I made the Olympic team and basically like defied everything my coaches said that I wasn't going to make it, you
Yeah.
know? Like they're like, it's probably not going to happen, but there's a chance. And I walk into the room and they sit me down and they say, my head coach says, oh my God, it makes me emotional. My my head coach says, Kiana Hunter, you have freaking made the Olympic team. And that is by far the best day of my entire life that I did it.
That's amazing.
After all of that. Yeah, sorry. But
No, take your time.
yeah. But yeah, so from then on, I knew I made it and I was like so, so happy. But it also was a lot because I hadn't really processed that I would get to go when everyone else processed, because that was months ago. We made the Olympics, we qualified, but it was like I didn't know if I was gonna go. So when I found out, I was like, whoa, like, okay, like that's great. I have to process that. And also, like I get to swim everything and I get to compete and I get to go to the Olympics, which is what I wanted to do since I was 8. So yeah, it was amazing. But there was a lot after that. But the span of that time to the Olympics was like 3 months. So it was very quick, but we choreographed a whole new routine in that time span, and like it was so fun being a part of it. Yeah, not a lot of people do that. And we had to go compete in Budapest, and it was my first time competing all three routines
Yeah.
ever in one competition. And I just remember my coach telling me, like, after we swam, like, at this competition, because we ended up getting all three golds, like, we got first in everything at this competition. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so happy that I picked you. I'm like, I made the right choice. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you. Um, and I'm so glad I got that competition because, like, I didn't want the Olympics to be my first time to swim all three routines, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, so that really gave me a lot of confidence. We performed our newly written acrobatic routine there, and like if you watch it, you'll just see like it's so cool. Like it's amazing. It's an amazing routine. Like it's one of those like things like as a little girl, I searched up routines on the internet, like,
Yeah.
oh, like love this routine. Like that's a routine people are gonna search up on the internet to be like, that's amazing. Um, so yeah, so that was our meet, and then few weeks later we were leaving for Paris.
That's
So,
incredible. So, what was your experience going to the village? Was your competition early where you could enjoy it? Was it late and there's a lot of pressure? What was going on?
it was a lot of pressure, but we tried to keep the same mindset as World Championships of like staying calm and not overthinking and just reminding yourself it's the same kind of competition, same meet, you're just in a new venue, like, nothing crazy. And then we got to go to opening ceremonies, which was amazing. It was raining, but like who cares? Like we're at the Olympics,
Yeah.
right? And then we didn't compete till the end. I think it was August 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay.
We competed, and it was more towards closing ceremonies.
So,
So we got to kind of
what are you doing the weeks leading up to it? Are you going to a bunch of different events? Are you meeting a bunch of like what's the vibe?
it's kind of like the same as anything. Like we were training a lot. We were
Okay.
doing a lot of training at the Team USA. Like there was a Team USA kind of like training center. We stayed there for a little bit and then we moved
Yeah.
to the village. We did more training, more practice. You're allowed to walk around and explore, but also like think smart. Don't
Right.
kill your legs the day before you're competing. Meet
Yeah.
people, but don't stay out too late. Stay healthy, and Village was awesome. It was amazing just being a part of, like seeing all the different buildings that had like decorated flags on each one, talking to everyone. Of course, being in the Team USA house is like legendary because there's so many Team USA athletes people are obsessed with.
Yeah.
So getting to see all of them was so cool. Um, and yeah, and then there was like a big dining hall where everyone got to hang out and talk. But yeah, most of the time though, before competing, I was still really nervous. So I feel like I didn't relax until after we competed
Yeah.
because I was like I need to compete well. Like I don't want to freak myself out, but it was very cool for
How
sure.
did the competition go for you guys?
So it went very well. The first thing we swam was tech team, and we were really ready. Like it was like, okay, like let's do it. Let's stay calm. We swam. It was a great swim, and then we get out, and they're like, okay, you didn't get a full score. Like we got a base mark, which is like
What
you
does that mean?
they it means that they didn't like they thought we didn't complete the difficulty that we said we did,
Yeah.
like said what we had. So that's a big deal. It's like, no, no. Like after the new system change, like if you get a base mark, it's not good.
Yeah.
So we really had done well all season about not getting those and have that to be the first routine you swam and have that happen. It was like, whoa, like, okay, great. And the first thing, of course, in my head, I was like, please don't let it be me because I made the team. Like, I don't want anyone
Yeah.
to think like it was me. Like, I really thought I stayed calm, whatever. And then, so we decided to make a game plan and to add difficulty to our free team to try to counteract what happened with tech team and to up our score and to go for more and to be like, okay, like we can do better. Like, let's just really like change this. We had to turn in our difficulty like declaration like the night before. So we were quickly fixing it in the pool and then sending it off. And then later
That's
that night,
wild that you're changing it. Like I thought
yes.
a whole new choreography 3 months ahead of time was wild, but you're doing day before as well.
Yes. No, yeah. And we all were like, we decided it was the best thing to do because we wanted to keep fighting for podium because we knew we could do it, but we
Yeah.
also didn't want to freak ourselves out. But we knew we needed to make a change in tech, like from tech, because it didn't go how we planned.
Yeah.
But then later that night, we get a text from our head coach being like, so basically, we got the base mark overturned. So we went
That's
from
awesome.
seventh place. Yeah, we went from seventh to fourth. And then like everything changed. We were all super ecstatic. Oh my gosh, hello.
You want to say hi? Say hi. All right. Super ecstatic. Okay.
Yes.
You're just gonna stare. Be pretty. Yeah. Okay. Go with mom.
So cute.
Then, when it's done with the computer, we need to use it for a dummies and a cookie.
Okay, you're gonna make gummies and cookies. Okay. So you got it overturned.
Yes, it was overturned and we're ecstatic. And then we're like, okay, but we have this changed free team for tomorrow. We can't,
Oh,
like,
forgot
it's
about
done.
that.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, stay calm, like, do your best. We made some changes, but,
Yeah.
like, whatever. Like, tech team is better now. And now we just get to go for it in free. It'll be fine. We swim free team. It ends up being a great swim. No base marks. We swam really well. It's like, oh my gosh, okay, like we did it. Like we just have one more routine to go. And the last routine we swam was the one that I said it's like legendary. Like people are still complimenting the routine to this day. Like it's so cool. We made it like just basically for the Olympics.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Like the theme was like sorceresses, so it's
Okay.
kind of creepy but really cool. And we all helped choreograph it. It was like a big team kind of like collaboration.
Yeah.
And we swam it. And it was like, okay, this is basically like how we're gonna find out if we make the podium.
Okay.
And we were just like swimming that routine was like electricity. Like it felt like the the greatest moment ever. Like you get to swim this amazing routine. You can hear the crowd like being like, "What?" Like it was
Yeah.
so cool. Everyone loves it. It's like so fun to swim. And we get out, and I just know like it was like an amazing swim, and we're all just like, crying, like, oh my gosh, like we did it. We didn't base mark any lifts. Like, like this is amazing. And then our score comes out because it's like a composite score. So it's like
Yeah.
tech, free, and acro all added together. And like that's gonna tell us what we did. And the first thing they show us is like just the routine score for that event. And we're like, okay, like what does that mean? Like you see all of our faces in the video go, okay, like what does
Yeah.
this mean? And then they switch it over and it shows that we got second overall.
Yeah.
And we're all like, what? Like we're all freaking out. Oh wait, actually no, we got first because China hadn't swam yet, but we
Okay.
knew that they were us, but it's like, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. So we knew we were gonna get second.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my gosh, like we just got second at the
Yeah.
Olympic Games, got silver. So that was crazy. Like it was like we had like a whole interview process afterwards and like explaining it all and how we're feeling was so cool going through talking to reporters. And it was just like a once in a lifetime like opportunity
Yeah.
experience. It was just like all of us were just so proud because to be the first team that qualified in 16 years is one
Yeah.
thing for the US, but then having a medal, like a silver medal, was our best finish in 20. So it was
Yeah.
like, wow, like we get to be part of that team. We got to do it. Yeah, it was crazy.
What was the best question you got in the post interview process?
Hmm. The best question? Well, there was a lot of questions. It was like a lot of people would ask about our hair, like our knocks in our hair. Like a lot of people wanted to know about that. And a lot of people wanted to know about our acrobatic routine.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were asking about like when was the last time you qualified?
Yeah.
Like how big of a deal is this? How much of an honor is this? And every time it was just like I didn't have to think. It was just
Yeah.
like I'm so proud. I'm so honored. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here, you know?
Mhm.
So
No, nobody asked you what your earliest childhood memory was? They didn't put that one
no,
down?
no. It's so fast back then. They just wanted a quick answer. So that definitely didn't happen. But
Yeah.
it's a good question.
So then is the ceremony right afterwards? Like, what's the ceremony like? What's the process till you get to go stand up and get the medal?
Yeah, so it was right afterwards, like after acro finished. They had all of us line up and everything, and then we walk out, and then you get to do the classic step up onto the podium and like raise your hands, and then they do each of our medals one by one.
Yeah.
And that was such a cool experience. It would have been amazing to hear the national anthem, but honestly, just getting on the podium was amazing. And then you get to see like Spain got third and then China got first, and just seeing them next to us being like these elite athletes, like we're on the same podium as these
Yeah.
elite athletes and the people we've looked up to for years. It was just like, wow, like this is crazy. And then what's fun about Paris Olympics was that they did an extra little optional, but you could do it medal ceremony kind of thing at the Eiffel Tower.
Oh,
And
cool.
it was, yeah, I can't remember if it was the next day or the day after, but basically like you go, they drive you in, there's like a whole crowd and like a stadium around like this Eiffel Tower, and then you get to walk and like, kind of like you're like a model walking down the runway kind of
Yeah.
thing. And you can take pictures with people and you can take pictures by the Eiffel Tower. And then they play like your music of choice. So it was very cool. And that was like one more way you get to celebrate, getting a medal is doing
Yeah.
that ceremony.
Yeah. At what point, um, how long did you celebrate after that? Because I feel like I would still be wearing the medal, just casually around town or whatever the scenario. How long did you keep celebrating for?
I celebrated for a long time. We weren't in Paris too long because I had to go to school a week after
Oh,
closing ceremonies.
boo.
Yeah, and I had to move and pack up my entire apartment in Santa Monica and drive to Ohio.
Someone,
So
someone from the U.S. should have done that for you. That's what the
yeah.
UPS should have
Well,
sponsored that
no,
move.
because I got lucky because my boyfriend and my dad volunteered to drive the U-Haul.
Oh, nice.
So they drove that, but then like I got to fly with my mom and my cat, so that was nice. But it was still a very fast turnaround.
Yeah,
And so we didn't get a ton of time in Paris, but we got to hang out. I got to hang out with my family, with my teammates, celebrate a little bit, go to the Team USA house, which was like a big kind of event where like a lot of people were, and you got to watch the events if you were there. We
yeah.
had free food and drinks. It was really cool. Um, and I remember like it was like one of the last nights we were there. Me and my family were leaving the Team USA house, and I just started bawling. Like I was like losing it. I was like, oh my gosh, like everything I worked for, it's over. Like, what do I do? Like,
Yeah,
this is it. And like, I'm never gonna be with the same team ever again. It just like all kind of hit me. But then I think it was my brother. He was just like, it's okay. Like, life's gonna go on.
yeah,
Maybe you'll go to another Olympics, maybe you won't. But like it's like you're still an Olympian no matter what. Like
right.
that's you can't no one can take that away from you. So yeah. And then I flew home. And then I had to pack up and go to school.
So, are there schools coming at, well, obviously, you were an Olympian at that point, but is there collegiate artistic
Yes.
swimming?
Yeah.
So then Ohio State, are they like, hey, we really want you to come here? What was the courting process like?
Yeah, so I had committed to them a few years basically before,
Okay,
but I had decided to put off school to try to make the Olympic team.
gotcha.
So I didn't go, but I had a lot of credits from high school. I did like a dual enrollment program with my local college.
Yeah,
So I had a lot of extra credits. So I just did my first year at Ohio State, but I'm actually going to be able to graduate next year because of all my extra
wow.
credits. Yes, yeah. But Ohio State has one of the best artistic swimming varsity collegiate programs in the country, so that's why I
Yeah,
decided to go there. And then yeah, so I'll be able to graduate with my psych degree next spring.
very cool. So while you're at college, are you still thinking, hey, I'm looking at the Olympics, I want to go do something else? What does our path look like as we're moving forward?
So I'm just kind of taking it one thing at a time,
Yeah,
as I have learned, but I kind of was just waiting to see if I was like kind of getting this itch to go back, if I missed it, and I definitely feel it. I'm gonna go back for a training camp in a few weeks,
yeah,
just to be there and be with the team. It's not long, but I'll kind of get to see, what it's like. But I get excited thinking about LA because it's in LA. And, when I go back if I do go back next summer, it's gonna be,
yeah.
2 years and then I get to go. Well, no, I don't get to go. It's going to be a whole nother process of trying out and figuring out who's going to make the team, but
Yeah.
I would love I would love to go again if I could.
So what has changed since you're not solely focusing on the swimming? Are you traveling more? Are you just chilling out with friends? What's different on that end?
Yeah, so because I started so early with Ohio State, I got out very early. So I came back, beginning of May, and all my friends are still in school. So I was like, okay, well, guess it's just family time. But
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of fun things. I haven't had this long of a break in I don't even know how long. It's been a long time since I had a summer. So I've just been hanging with my family. I've been doing a lot of coaching. I've been doing a lot of hiking trips. Um, just kind of like doing other things to stay in shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just kind of been doing little things and not booking myself so that I had the option to do whatever I wanted,
Yeah.
this summer because I haven't had that opportunity in a long time. So yeah, I'm gonna go to a concert soon. I'm very excited. Um, yeah, I'm kind of just like freelancing this summer. I've been trying to get into modeling.
Okay.
So yeah, but that's like I'm really excited about it and I'm just trying to get into the industry, but it's definitely harder than I thought.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. Like there's so many details that go into, photography and the look and runway. It's definitely something new, but I like the challenge.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, to finish things up, I'll end with the last two questions that everybody gets. What's your definition of health? Not necessarily the dictionary definition, but what is health to you?
I think health to me is a balance between whatever aspects you think are important in your life that make you the most happy.
Okay. I love that. And then what's something from your life that you think people listening would be able to take away as a positive?
I think it sounds like cliche, but never give up on your dreams, I guess, because I knew I had a 1% chance of making the team
Yeah.
and I kept fighting, I kept pushing, and it all worked out. So I guess to all people who are wondering if they should continue something, ask yourself, what if?
Yeah.
And if the what if is worth it to you in any way, I would keep pushing.
I love that. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.